On these moments and after a match like this, a coach must have obviously the capacity to focus on what is important, also to pass outside and to make some analysis. And I think you also should make some analysis, because in the past week we had two of the biggest matches that can be played in South Africa. We had an Orlando Pirates Kaizer Chiefs, and then we had a Mamelodi Sundowns Kaizer Chiefs. And I remember that on this room we spoke a lot. You asked me many times about the level of the game in South Africa. After these two matches, you have an answer. That's basically the conclusion that we have to do. There's still a lot to do to develop the game. A lot to do. That's basically the conclusion. Because matches are always emotions, but the emotions should take a direction towards the technical side of the game, the tactical side of the game. And today there was nothing like that on the pitch. It was just fights from the beginning. In Pirates match, fights from the beginning, balls in the air, kicking in the front, kicking players, kicking legs, kicking everything. So I don't think really is the best way to think about the future of the game here. But, well, that's just the first analysis. And that comes from the beginning of the match, how the match started, how the match was handled, how the match was managed. Two teams, or one team with higher pressure to achieve a result, of course, because there's something to win. That is a championship that is on the fight. Another team that already nothing to fight for. I think their position in the table is quite stable regarding the objectives almost achieved. And this should bring the game to a pattern where the technical side should be the one that in the end we arrive here and we say wow. And I think no one says wow about the game today. Absolutely. When you arrive in the end and you try to remember and you see one team that tried to play, another one that tried to avoid the other one to play, using all the strategies that could be used to stop the game, to make falls, to grab, and of course, and then in the end, a lot of emotions on the pitch from the beginning up to the end. I think if you take a look on the statistics of the match, it's clear. You see the XG on the match, and you see who had possibilities to score. If you look at the possession, if you look at the shots, if you look at everything, you have an answer on the game. Whatever people may sit on this chair and want to say, to make a flower or a bouquet of flowers out of something, there's no bouquet of flowers rather than the reality of the numbers. That is what should be taken in consideration.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions from the floor.
Sandy Remton from ENCA. Coach, judging by the opening remarks, are you therefore, perhaps maybe if you could rate the ref first?
No, I'm not speaking about, I don't want to speak about the referee.
Do you feel hard done by the fact that it's you guys who finished with 10 men, not the other way around?
We finished with 10 men, the other way around should have finished with 10 or 9 men around. If you take, but I'm not here to speak about the referee. I'm speaking about how the people involved in the game has to handle it, because it's a responsibility for everybody. Of course, that if there's a referee or a group of referees, they should try to hold the game in the pattern that should promote the game itself from the very beginning, and the referee can control the match, not allowing the aggressivity to go to a standard or to a level where then nothing more is seen, because we are the ones under emotions. We coaches, we players, or the players, and those should be helped to keep the pattern that the game should be kept. I think the game was too aggressive, and the game of Pirates was extremely aggressive also, and I don't think it's the way we want to see the game, because that's not the game we're going to sell for anyone. There must be a match starting in a while, and you're going to see what is a high-intensity match. Like today, it was a high-intensity match, but taken in the way and the direction of what we want to see, a game well played. You will never have a Champions League match like this. Never. It will not happen. You will never have a Champions League match in Africa like the one we saw in Orlando Pirates, because it will not happen. It's not allowed. So we must ask why we had 2 matches like this in the championship in South Africa, because both matches were very ugly. That's the question I want to put. I don't know. Something must be made. I also will make my own analysis. Attention, though I'm not speaking for just outside. I will make my own analysis, because for sure there was a lot of emotions that should have. And I also think that, especially in the first half, we were not also able to control our emotions, or the ones that took us a little bit out of the path we wanted to be. So I'm speaking also for inside. I'm not speaking just for other people. I'm speaking also for me. We have to make an analysis also. What we should have kept in terms of capacity to think about the game we wanted to play, because at halftime we made some corrections and we came on the second half already much better placed. So it's also important we analyze, and we will for sure, and I will for sure, together with my players.
Yeah, I forgot to mention in the coach's remark, just believe they went for the backside when you can. We'll take songs that
Can you take the phone in front of your mouth, because as much as you want, I also read. It's normal. We communicate. We saw the language is also.
Yeah, understood. We saw Keanu Cupido go down in the first half. He was caught by Sipisihle and Glovu. Looked like he fell on his arm.
He fell on his arm.
Yeah.
You didn't see the action.
I saw it.
Okay. When he fell, the arm was already. So.
Do you have any updates on his condition?
Something is broken. Point. That's it. But he didn't fall on the arm. When he fell, the arm was broken already. Just look at the images. Don't make me questions. That is up to you to analyze. You are the journalists. You should look situation after situation from the beginning up to the end and make your own analysis. Why you put the coaches to be the ones that have to speak about the analysis if it's up to you that are seated watching on the TV to relate, because you always want to avoid the polemic and put in the mouth of the coach. It's not up to me to speak about situations of the referee. I will not. Don't ask me details about what happened. You are the ones that are easy, seated. You are not under emotions. You make your analysis and you speak. But when he falls, the arm is already broken. That is different from what happened with the player from Kaizer Chiefs, because there's an action that is a yellow card, correct, on Jayden, the first yellow card Jayden, but when he falls he makes an injury on the arm. That is completely different.
Coach, on the positive side, you've got players, majority of your players play from Bafana Bafana. You are chasing the league, playing the last matches of the league, and you are playing the CAF Champions League final, but your players still give you their best. They put their feet where it hurts.
Unbelievable.
How do you get that right?
Unbelievable. Fantastic question, because I'm so proud about the boys. It's not normal to see, and I remember we played here we played here with 10, not Marumo, we played here with 10, we finished the match here with 10. We were winning, and then we suffered a goal, and we had to hold 2-1 result, golden arrows, and we struggled. We had to defend, but today the commitment was so strong that we went in such a way for a result. Obviously, I totally believe that this will have a very interesting second half if the game could have finished with 11 for each side, for both sides. That situation of Jayden should also be very well analyzed from yourselves, because one thing is for a player to if it was an interpretation that the player simulated a fall, come on, he's not trying to get a penalty or trying to get it's completely different. Come on, we should understand the level of the things. But I think the boys did very well in terms of the way they dedicated themselves with a heart on the game. If they should have had more mind, especially in the first half, I think we should have had more mind, because we allowed the first 20 minutes of such aggressivity that we saw from Kaizer Chiefs to take us in a little bit far away from the line we wanted to have in terms of control and finding the spaces and playing. I think the way we came in the second half with the changes we did brought us some more stability. And then, of course, with less one, it's traps that we need to overcome permanently. It's not an easy ride, but it's what it is. There's nothing to point on the boys. Quite happy with the performance. they did, and the way they fought, both especially.
Tim Kulu.
Good evening, Coach. Morning, Tim Kudia. Coach, the last game you spoke, when we asked you about Kaizer Chiefs, you did mention that you haven't been watching them, but now you do mention that you watched them in the derby, and you managed to see how they play, how rough they were. What was the game plan coming to this game tonight?
Yeah, play football. Play football. Not go on the duels, not go on the... not allowed to install on ourselves a sensation of frustration. If the duels would be allowed, if they would have the capacity to put extra intensity and extra aggressivity that in other matches is not allowed, because it was clearly allowed from the very beginning in terms of progression. I think the team had a clear mindset, but it's very easy to speak. But when you are inside the four lines, it's much more difficult to do it. But obviously, as much as a team puts pressure, the more you have to play football to take the ball from the spaces. And but indeed, in the first 20 minutes, the match was quite rough, and from there up to the end of the first half was quite difficult to take the match in control as we wanted. Anyway, I think the first or second entrance on our box is the goal. And I don't remember much more in the first half. Of course, after we were with less one player and we were chasing the second goal and we put it ourselves attacking like we did with less one, it's obviously unclear that there would be moments that could appear one transition. And but I think last year with Coach Nabi we saw a much more dangerous Kaizer Chiefs than we saw here this year. Last year, the two matches we played against Kaizer Chiefs, the one we played in Lucas and then the Cup here, in transitions the team was more difficult to cope rather than today, because the team today, I think we installed, even with 10, we installed ourselves aggressively in the pitch. We took control of the game and there was a lot of respect on us, so I'm happy because also of that. Yeah, but last year I think they were stronger in terms of the way they tried to counter-attack us.
We'll take the last two questions. Yes, you can go first. You can go first, but not that one. Please go. Please go first. Thank you.
Coach, how do you look at this point in the context of where the league is at the moment? 2 games left. Your competitors still have got 3. You got 2 points today, and also Leon. I see he's always very, very good when he's attacking these crosses that are coming in, able to position himself, but you don't play as many crosses. Why is that, if maybe you can explain?
Regarding the league, our obligation is to make the 6 points we have ahead of us and then wait to see what is the outcome of that. So recover the players, because in 2 days we're going to play again. Make the result against ULL, and remember that this team from Kaizer Chiefs lost 2-0 with ULL, and that means that we need to approach this match with a high sense of responsibility, because it will not be easy as you may imagine, especially also in the sequence we are. Where we lost several players, as you know, from injuries. I think Coach Hugo Bros is very happy, because it seems that the luck is picking the ones that are not Bafana state or established players. But let's see how Morena will be today. I think Keanu is doing very well. Maybe he was not on the thoughts of the coach, but one day he'll be an international for Bafana. Bafana, I have no doubts, he's in the moment probably the best centre back in the league. But season finished for him, most probably. Arthur, season finished. Salenga, let's see who will survive and play the Champions League. As I told you, I told you that playing 7 matches in 21 days is a heroic act that doesn't exist nowhere in the world. I don't know if you heard this week, Arteta speaking about the semi-final of the Champions League he played, and comparing the number of games played by him and with Arsenal in the English Premiership Premier League, and the ones played in France by PSG and in Germany by Bayern Munich, and how those teams were protected and how they arrived in the end of the season. What I mean protect is managing the games and the fixtures in order to allow them to obviously arrive. But it's very tough calendar here in South Africa with the AFCON and the time we stopped it because of the AFCON, and especially in a season that we had also a World Cup. But it's something that we need to. I think South Africa needs also to think a little bit how we want the teams to arrive in the end of the season, because this season no one else played the international competitions until the end. But last year we had Orlando Pirates also in the semi-final of the Champions League, and we had Stellenbosch made it quite well. I'm correct, yeah. So, and that is what we want, is to see I'm not happy to have Sundowns on the final of Champions League. I would be happy if we have Sundowns, the other teams closer to that or that also. I remember I played the final of Europa League in Europe, Porto Braga, 2 teams from Portugal. Why not have a Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs or Kaizer Chiefs, I don't know. But Orlando Pirates probably. It can happen, it could happen. But for that, the country must protect the teams to arrive on that level and on that moment in conditions. Otherwise, I think it will be very difficult to repeat several times a path like the ones it was done in the last 2 years by Mamelodi Sundowns if the calendar doesn't protect the teams. Because we are also lucky that we arrived in this moment without having the unfortunate that we are having here now by losing players. Understand what I mean? Because every team and every coach depends on his best players. As much as you think, the coach is good or bad or whatever, it's not. Let's imagine the coach is very good. Whoever coaches a strong team, if he loses his best players, he becomes an average coach, because we depend on the quality of the players. And it's important to arrive on these moments with the best players available to have capacity to go as strong as you want to go. But we'll be there. Let's see.
Thank you, Coach. We'll close it there. He's sorted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.